you.
Okay.
Is it better?
Yeah, this takes a second to connect to YouTube. There we go. Starting stream. You have any recollection of what this password could be? Do you want to try the one for your other?
This is not.
Yeah.
You know, let me go get mine. And you
Okay.
can just do it.
Thank you. Yeah, look, there you go.
For Tim, I guess. We don't have a simple password.
Okay. Let me.
Can you do
Is it better?
It's
it better?
enough.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you?
I'll email Tim.
I wish we could put it here, the right.
Yeah. Just like hanging out.
Fernando, you want me to take a picture
Yeah. Yeah.
and post it?
Yes, please. What's the absolute latest you can be here?
I have a meeting at
Selfie.
till 2. Wait, what's the time? 2:30. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm just gonna try to get the other iPad up and running
Okay.
for the Periscope. This Periscope is where we're gonna have most of our traffic. So
Sounds good.
yeah, let's do a teaser image right now with her. So just
Okay.
Am I doing this?
her.
No, I know. I meant that you want me to take it.
Oh no, he's doing it. Sorry.
We're just gonna tease Rini with a nice
you.
Yeah.
photo of me. So yeah.
Just make sure we're on
So much technology everywhere.
There really is.
It's cool.
I know. It's like a 5-camera shoot.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Hey, Raphael, who said you could use the slide? You told me.
Hi.
Okay.
I don't know. Just so many cameras. I guess I'm live on one and then live on another. So yeah, it's cool. I'm excited.
All right, Rafa. Let me write it.
Which one should I choose?
Have you read any of the questions? People like ask good things.
Yeah, a couple of them, like about mental health and college affordability. Yeah, so yeah, it was like a great question. So we've got a good variety, I think.
Good, good.
I'm
That's
sure
awesome.
there's always surprises, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad people commented stuff. I was like trying to push it into people's feeds, like be involved. Ask
Yeah, no, that's
questions.
awesome. I'm really glad.
Oh, because she uses a people.
When are you guys? Do you guys know when you're gonna start? Do I have a second to ask her something?
Yeah.
Before? Okay. Great. I'm just gonna ask you like how you're feeling
Yeah,
going
sure.
into this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a meta experience, a video about your video.
Okay. Yeah. It's total inception.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah.
username is animal.
So, can you just tell me a little bit about what you're doing and why there are so many cameras surrounding you right now?
Sure. So got invited to this awesome live Q&A. I've never done something like this before with ATVN, so I thought I would give it a shot. I'm really excited to be here and answer some of the questions that students have.
And do you know what topics you're going to be covering? Can you give us like a preview of
Sure.
what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, I got a sneak peek to a couple of the questions that students are asking. There were some great topics: college affordability, mental health, campus climate. So we've got a really wide range, and I'm really excited to delve into some of them.
And this is kind of specific to the media center, but what is your kind of feel of the digital stuff that we're trying to do with live streaming interviews and stuff like that?
I love it. I think it's amazing what the Annenberg Media Center is trying to do. I know the new Annenberg Media page is also so engaging because of the videos and the photographs, all kinds of cool things that you're all doing. I love it. I think it's really staying up to date with how media is being used right now in the digital age. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for students to be at a school like this that encourages that kind of involvement.
And so going back to today's little web video we're doing, what's the one question that you haven't been asked about being our student body president that you think you wish someone would ask you?
Wow, that's a really that's a good question. I think I definitely get a lot of questions, so far I can't really think of a particular one I haven't been asked, but maybe it's just like sometimes students forget I'm also a student. So I think I remember once when I was in class, a friend of mine told me after class, she was like, wow, I forgot that you like go to school here. And I was like, yeah, I take class, I take the full unit schedule, you know, so I think that's always been interesting. But yeah, I'm always just grateful for any opportunity I have to interact with my peers, because at the end of the day, that's what this role really is serving my peers. So I love it.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And so what is your advice to other students who get really stressed leading into finals and stuff? Because obviously you are balancing a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
So what would your advice be?
I would definitely say utilize all the resources we have on campus and don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's the number one most important thing, at least for myself, has been talking about it and taking a break for myself. I love that we have like puppies in the park. You know, you can pet some puppies, go get some ice cream with some friends, do anything that reminds yourself that you also need me time. School gets to be a lot of school time, so make time for yourself because you deserve it. So I definitely want students to remember that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So we're about to start. I'm going to introduce you.
Okay.
Just make sure to almost scream.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of noise. And as long as you direct it in this general direction,
Okay.
you'll be fine. Obviously, there's a little delay. So I have to wait for it to realize that I'm right next to you. There.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start, guys. You can start the stream. A super rugged introduction. Hey guys, thank you for joining us, Annenberg Media. We're here with Student Body President Rini Sampath. Thank you so much for being here. And anything goes, you guys. Ask anything you want. You guys want to ask Rini. We already have some questions, so I'm going to go ahead and jump behind the camera and start with those. So if you just want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Awesome. Hi everyone who's watching, everyone who's going to be watching later on. My name is Rini. I am a senior majoring in international relations. I am a student body president here at the University of Southern California. A couple of background information, little tidbits about me. I was born in India, lived there till I was 3. I've lived in Singapore. I've lived in 16 cities my whole life, so truly consider myself kind of a global citizen. Really proud to go to USC. My family's in Irvine, California right now. We have an awesome golden retriever named Buddy, like long walks on the beach, you name it. So yeah, I'm really excited to do this Q&A. I've never done something like this before.
Cool, so let's get started. Rini, the first question is actually in regards to the importance of mental health on campus.
Okay.
Will students be able to seek the help they need with easier access starting next semester? And also, why does mental health have such an importance to you, if it does, and how do you relate to it? So if you don't mind including the question in your answer so people can hear that.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you for the person who submitted this question about mental health. I really appreciate it. Not only because it's a great question, but also just by asking about mental health, we start talking more about mental health, and it's important to raise awareness about this topic in general. I think before this year, we didn't really talk a lot about mental health on college campuses and how it affects students. And this year alone, USG has led a series of initiatives to encourage more discussions about what mental health is and what mental illness is on college campuses. So we've led a few different kinds of initiatives. This includes our academic culture Assembly's Mental Health Awareness Month campaign, and they've put on a variety of things from de-stress karaoke events to more serious conversations about how mental health in minority communities is affected. So those are some really important things. But in regards to your specific question about how students are going to actually get the help that they need, we're doing everything that we can as USG to bring this to the forefront of discussions with administrators. We know that there is a 3 to 4 week wait time when you call the counseling center right now. And at the beginning of the year, we were really hopeful that this was going to decrease because we were told there were 6 new counselors hired at the counseling center. Really awesome news. But unfortunately, 4 other counselors have quit their jobs, which means it really didn't help out much. And so we're in a situation where students are seeking out more professional help and care, but we clearly do not have the funding or the staffing necessary to meet those student needs. So what we're doing as student government is asking our administration to reprioritize their funds and focus on mental health particularly. So we are actually have a meeting with President Nikias at 3 p.m. today, and we're bringing that up specifically, talking about the need for even more counselors at the health center because we are definitely not up to par with some of our peer institutions when it comes to addressing the mental health crisis on our campus. We've lobbied for a fall break routinely, and we've been turned down, unfortunately, so we're hoping that's another conversation that we can start up again. We're meeting with our academic senate chair, Ginger Clark, to discuss the situation and status of a fall break, and I think that's something that would definitely remedy this mental health issue. So I hope that answers as much of your question as possible. You can talk to me as well separately and individually. I can explain more.
Perfect. So the next question is actually surrounding Syrian refugees and allowing them in the U.S. So a lot of people have been talking about that. I know it was mentioned at the Senate meeting this Tuesday, perhaps. How are you all assessing the climate of students accepting Syrian refugees on campus? How do you decide that? And do we have any current Syrian refugees, would you know, who are students?
I personally don't know of Syrian refugees students on our campus. I know there are definitely students who are refugees of other crises around the world. The senator who is sponsoring this resolution is Sabrina Enriquez, so I encourage all students to speak with her and the author of the resolution. You can also come to the Senate meeting because I do think there are specific people who are championing these issues within student government on our campus, so please talk to one of the senators who is leading the charge on that.
Cool. And this question is from Allie Main. After the campus climate resolution passed and Provost Michael Quick sent out that email, what's the next step for diversity at USC in the broadest terms?
Yeah. So I think one of the most remarkable things has been we're at least talking about the topic of diversity. Seeing the student engagement on this issue, regardless of what spectrum or what opinion students have about it, has been one of the most beautiful things for me as a student leader. At our Senate meetings in the past 3 weeks, we've had the room filled to maximum capacity when we've discussed these issues. So seeing that kind of student activism and engagement on our campus is phenomenal. I think that's what we need on a variety of things, and I encourage all students to get involved. I think one of the biggest accomplishments and successes for us right now is having gotten the attention of our university administration on topics like diversity, on topics like sexual assault, because when we talk about campus climate, we're not just talking about race, we're talking about sexual orientations, gender, a wide variety of things. So it's been amazing developing this relationship with our provost so that we can actually make substantial change on our campus. We have our first diversity task force meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. with a group of student leaders, faculty members, and others. So we hopefully will see some significant change in the coming years, because it's not something we can fix over time. It's going to be a cultural shift. So it's going to take the whole community to come together to make sure everyone feels comfortable, not just specific groups.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Rini. This next question is related to the whole student activism part. This is from Alex Janin. How important is student activism on campus? So can you talk a little bit about the concrete results, for example, in the last few weeks of protests and solidarity with Mizzou, and we've seen it in the past at USC, these movements. So how do you assess and how do you suggest that students who are interested in student activism, how do you suggest they go about it?
Yeah. I had the opportunity to pen a letter to the editor with the graduate student government president, encouraging the university to embrace student activism. So how I felt is in previous instances of student activism on campus haven't felt like they've been embraced as well. For example, we had students protesting in President Nikias' office about 2 years ago, and those students were threatened to have their scholarships revoked and to be suspended. So my personal opinion is that it's out of student activism that we have a lot of amazing things happen on our campus, like our cultural centers, our resource centers, even our LGBT resource center. All of these spaces were born out of student activism. So without the critical thinking and the challenging of the norm that happens with student activism, I don't think we can expect the kind of progress we want to see on our campus. Along with student activism, I also think that it requires diplomacy. I think we all need to find a way to have respectful conversations. We can't just have student activism. We need people who are willing to come to the table and have respectful conversations about these topics. So it's really a blend of all of those things. And if students are wanting to get involved, you can get involved in a lot of different ways. You can go out and you can join these kinds of rallies. You can come to these student government meetings as a delegate. You can participate in being a reporter and reporting on these different issues. I think there's so many different ways and people become activists and advocates for causes, and it's all about finding your lane, finding your why. How can you make an impact on a cause that you care about, and going about it in that way.
Perfect, thank you. So this other question is from Kevin. This is kind of a long one. So during the USG meeting when the diversity resolution was discussed and ultimately not voted on, so this is I think 3 weeks ago now, 4 weeks almost, there were instances where the crowd was chanting and even calling for the impeachment of a senator for expressing his opinion on the bill. Do you have a problem with this type of behavior or an opinion with this type of behavior during a meeting, during a Senate meeting?
Yeah, I have to admit that I think emotions were running really high during that meeting as a whole. I personally remember as well. I mean, everyone was extremely tired after a 4-hour meeting, and I do think that we let emotions kind of boil over. So one thing that we're encouraging for the student body to do is really come together and have conversations about these things. I know that some students were disappointed in just having waited a whole entire week to have this resolution voted on, and then it was postponed another 2 weeks. So that's why they did express themselves in that way. But I agree. I think that we need to be diplomatic and we need to be respectful in how we go about things. So we are definitely going to be, encouraging more respectful conversations in the future. But that meeting was a tense one, and sometimes it's also hard to control. So yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Rini. One more question, two more. This is about financial aid. So in light of the recent financial aid transparency resolution that USG created, has the financial aid office given you any information regarding the exact process they use when creating financial aid packages? Furthermore, students have tried getting the aid office to be more transparent about how our aid is decided with little to no success. To your knowledge, is the aid office ever going to clearly define for us the process behind deciding how much aid a student deserves from year to year? And she says, thank you so much for doing this interview.
Yeah, definitely. So we passed a recent resolution on college affordability and financial transparency. We released a survey that asked some students to give feedback about the financial aid office, and that was definitely one of the concerns that was brought to us. Now, we had a meeting with the provost, we had a meeting with the vice president of admissions, our VP of student affairs, and at this meeting we presented them with the data that we collected from the student body, and one of the things that we asked for is we asked them to take a real hard look at how the financial aid office is working with our students. So our provost and our VP of admissions now, they have oversight over the financial aid office, so we're hoping to see more progress on that end. So we'll definitely let you know and keep you updated, but that's definitely something that's being worked on as we speak.
Perfect, thanks for that, Rini. One more question, this is from Kay Ingram. Do you think there are enough professors of color at USC, and is USC doing enough to bring in full-time faculty and professors of color? What's your take on that?
I don't think there are enough professors of color on our campus, and it's something that we specifically addressed in our campus climate resolution, and it's something that I think a lot of universities all across America are taking a look at right now. In fact, at the Harvard Law School. I believe it was today. There was a hate crime involving the defacement of portraits of professors of color in the Harvard Law School, and that's when we need to start having conversations. Even when we have professors of color, how are they being treated? What kind of climate and environment are they in? But I do think there needs to be more concerted effort to diversify our faculty members here at USC.
Perfect. And one more question for people are starting to gear up to kind of run for presidency next semester?
Yes.
Next semester. Any tips for people looking to be student body president, vice president, senator? How do you ran a very successful campaign. Do you want to give some pointers and tips for those students?
Yeah, sure. We're actually doing an event tonight called Elect Her, and it's encouraging women to run for public office. As you all might know, at USC, it took 10 years for women to even run for this position and 10 years to get a woman elected. So I'm really passionate about cultivating the next generation of female leadership, but I'm also interested in seeing how any student can get involved. So if you're passionate about this position, please talk to me. I think that it's important for the number one most important trait for leaders to have is empathy, because it allows us to connect with so many different communities of people. If you're looking to run a campaign, remember to do it for your personal why and the purpose that drives you, because the name tag, the office, all of the shiny resume item stuff is not worth it. It's not worth it. It's a lot of stress and hard work that goes into this position. So do it because you're passionate about giving back to our students and making life better for students here. So I would just say keep that in mind. And once you figure that out, running a campaign is a lot about putting your heart and soul into it and finding people who care about the things you care about and getting them to go out there and spread your message. So that would be my advice. Yeah.
Cool. And then just a few more fun questions. You passed the hard part. We'll take 2 more minutes.
Okay.
Just to ask you random questions. What show are you watching right now? Anything?
What show?
Do you have time to watch TV?
Oh my gosh, that's so bad. I don't watch TV anymore. That's okay. I watch movie trailers, which is probably like the worst thing I could say, but it's because they're short and sweet, and then I figure out what movie I want to go watch. I'm obsessed with film, so I'm trying to go watch some of the new movies that just came out. Yeah.
Cool. Any Thanksgiving plans?
Yes, my family from all over the United States, my mom's cousins all live in the States. Most of my family is in India. They're going to come out to our home, and we're planning on going to California Adventure and spending time with the family. So I have a bunch of younger cousins, and I love hanging out with them. So yeah, I'm excited to spend time with the family.
Favorite class at USC?
Wow, favorite class at USC. I took a leadership and diplomacy course with Professor Wiseman, which was really incredible. He's a former diplomat, and I really enjoyed his course. I would also say that surprisingly, my Writing 140 course, I loved it. It was super good. My professor was amazing and really easy to talk to and made me feel really comfortable here at USC. It's my first semester because I was a spring admit, so he was an amazing professor and an introduction to USC in general.
Cool. And what's one thing students or anyone might be surprised to know about you?
I learned Mandarin Chinese when I was a kid. Growing up, around when I was from 3 to 6, I lived in Singapore. I don't remember any Mandarin now, so that's a fun fact. But I also have other fun stories from traveling and whatnot. So yeah.
Cool. 2 more questions. What's an average day for you like as president, as Rini, as you?
As me?
Yeah.
One thing that I always say is I think some people forget I'm a student on campus. So just now I took a midterm. I don't know if I did very well. My professor probably thinks I did well because I turned it in early, but that's just because I was not very sure about a lot of the questions. So that's part of my day. I'm a regular student here on campus. But I wake up super early. I'm up at least 7 a.m. so that I can get my day started. And I just have a lot of office hours. So if you'd like to visit me in the USG office, it's in TCC 224. I'm there a lot. So please come visit. And then, I'm just at meetings. We have a meeting with President Nikias, like I mentioned earlier, at 3. So preparing for those, working with our organization. We have about 130 people in the office. So working with all of them, make sure everyone's happy. So, yeah.
Last question. Rini's graduating soon. What's Rini doing after USC? Any plans? What do you want to do after USC?
That is a big question mark. I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting about what I think is my path to making an impact on the world. I still don't know. I think that I have a passion for people and working with people, but I'm not so sure about which way I'll be doing it. I thought I wanted to go to law school at that time. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, so it's been all over the place. I have a degree in international relations, so it's probably going to end up somewhere in the social sciences field. I'm also really passionate about communications, so potentially something in that. But I'd love to move to New York City or DC and get a taste of that life. But LA is always a beautiful place to be, so any of those three cities I'd be happy to live in. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rini. Thanks everyone for watching. If you have any more questions, keep posting. Maybe Rini will answer them. Take some time off for busy day to answer those. Is there anything else you want to say to everyone watching? We have people from all over the world.
Yeah, we are playing the UCLA Bruins pretty soon, and I have a lot of good feelings. So I'm probably also, I need to make a bet with the student body president at UCLA about that game. So that's my plan. But stay tuned. I really hope we win. Feeling good about this one. So fight on.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me just stop it before we...